Hello, everyone. This is your host, Irsa Khalid, and welcome back to another episode of Conversation with a Diplomat. My dear fellows, there was a time when killing a diplomat did not just start a war, it was considered an act against God. Across ancient civilizations, from Greece to Rome to the kingdoms of the ancient Near East, the protection of envoys was not a legal rule, it was a religious one. Messengers were considered sacred, harming them was impious, insulting, injuring, or killing an envoy was punishable by death. Now, think about what that tells us. Long before nations had constitutions, before they had courts or formal laws, they had one agreement they all honored across every culture, every continent, every civilization. The person carrying the message must not be touched. Necessity forced most cultures to give envoys basic protections because without such protections, no international system could exist at all. Diplomacy was built on this shared understanding that without it, there's only be war. And that understanding is as old as humanity itself. And today, we speak with someone who carries it forward. We have a very special diplomat with us, His Excellency Faisal Niaz Tirmizi, Ambassador of Pakistan to Russia. Greetings to you, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction.
Now, let me introduce you to our guest. Ambassador Niaz is a distinguished career diplomat with more than 3 decades of service in Pakistan's Foreign Service. Born in 1968, he holds a master's degree in international studies and diplomacy from the University of London. He joined the Foreign Service of Pakistan in 1993 and has served in a wide range of important positions throughout his career. At the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, he has worked as section officer, deputy director, director general, and later as additional secretary. His diplomatic assignments abroad have taken him to Ashgabat, Geneva at the United Nations, and Abu Dhabi, where he represented Pakistan in key diplomatic roles. He also served as Consul General of Pakistan in Chicago. In addition, Ambassador Tirmizi served as Pakistan ambassador to Kyrgyz Republic, further strengthening Pakistan's diplomatic engagement in the region. Today, we are honored to have him with us to share his experiences, insights, and reflections on diplomacy, international relations, and about himself. So, welcome to DiploTV, sir. My first question to you is tell us about your personal journey, about your college, about your school, about your place of birth, and where did it all started?
Well, I was born in Rawalpindi, which is close to Islamabad, where you're based in. And I was very fortunate that I went to school, college, university in Islam, in Rawalpindi, and then for my university to Islamabad, Qaid Azim University. It has been a great journey, traveled a lot, had an opportunity to travel the length and breadth of Pakistan. Probably I am very fortunate because of the profession of my father, who had served in right after my birth. My father was posted in East Pakistan, so I have very faint recollections of our stay in Dhaka. Then, of course, when we were in here, my father served in Pindi, Hyderabad, Quetta, different places, but we always had a chance for education. My mother used to keep us in one place. She said that it is very important that the children should have a continuous education. So I was fortunate that I went to one school, then Sir Syed College, Rawalpindi, which is on the Mall. I did my bachelor's from Government College, Asdat Mall, which is right in the heart of the city, where my grandfather had set up Muslim high school in the 40s. And then I went for my master's to Qaid Azim University, the IR department. I went for a second master's to University of London in 2001 and 2. And I think the quality of education that I got in Qaid Azim University was the better than what I got in London. So it's a great opportunity, and I've had sat for the CSS exam in '92, and of course then I went for my language training to to Moscow. Then I was posted to Turkmenistan. I came back to headquarters. Then my second posting was to Geneva, where I was dealing with human rights as well, ILO. I was a member of the Committee on Freedom of Association, which has 9 members, 3 from the government. After that, came to was posted to Abu Dhabi, came back to headquarters. Then went to Chicago as Consul General. From Chicago, I went to Kyrgyzstan. From Kyrgyzstan, I came back. I was looking after 3 divisions in the ministry. I was Additional Secretary of Americas, Additional Secretary Administration, and National Coordinator for SCU. Then I was posted to Abu Dhabi, and now I'm in Moscow.
Right. It's a long and impressive, I would say, career. Um, you have mentioned one thing that the quality of education in Kyrgyzstan University was better in the University of London. Please elaborate that. Which aspect, or how the quality was better, because this is surprising for most of our audience as well as me, because living in Pakistan we just look up to the universities in the Europe and the America, and we have this belief that these countries have better education than our country. So please elaborate that.
Well, when I went to Kazazim University, we had 7 professors who had done their PhD from Ivy League universities. Those professors could have easily stayed in the US or could have taught in any other private university all across the world. In fact, many of them joined NUMS after their retirement. But as long as they were in the government servant, they decided to stay back and teach at Qaidazim University. We had Dr. Kusana Siddiqui, who taught me courses in Africa and international political economy. She was a PhD for UPenn. Then Dr. Wasim, who's now the professor emeritus at LUMS, taught us some amazing courses on the theories as well as on the politics of Pakistan. Then we had Dr. Tahir Amin, who was a PhD from MIT, and he taught us courses in Afghanistan and international legal systems. So the quality of teachers was probably way superior. In the UK, the facilities of library and other support was much better. But if you ask me in terms of quality of teaching, I still thought the quality of teachers in Qaidam University was way higher than at the School of Oriental and African Studies, London.
Right. So when did you decide that you want to join foreign service and you will get into the field of diplomacy? When did you, I would say, dream about that?
Well, I never wanted to be a diplomat. I'll be very frank with that. I was a journalist for 3, 4 years. I started working as a journalist when I was still in university, and I loved that job. My mother wanted me to sit for the CSS exam, so just to make her happy, I sat in that exam and I qualified, and then I've never looked back. So, Alhamdulillah, Allah has been very kind.
So, did you start enjoying this journey, this new profession? And were your learnings at that moment before sitting in this exam? And how did you decide basically that you want to join for? Because there are other groups as well, in the CSS, but you went for this foreign service.
That was my first choice, frankly. In fact, I
Okay.
was asked this question. I had very interesting choices when I sat for the CSS exam. My my last choice was, in fact, police service. My first choice was foreign service. Second was probably railways, postal. I had a very interesting choices of service because the only service I was interested was in the foreign service. Frankly, I
Okay.
would not have joined the other services at all. So, because I was very fortunate that when I was after my FSC, my mother sent me to Turkey to travel for a week, for a month. Then I was subsequently selected in the Canada World Youth Program. I represented Pakistan. I lived with a Canadian family for 4 months in Canada. went to school there. And then, of course, the Canadians came and lived with the Pakistani family in Pakistan. So I always enjoyed traveling. So when I sat for the exam, I was absolutely clear that my choice would be foreign service. In fact, my roommate used to make fun of me. He said, "You could have joined, besides DMG, you could have joined any other service." I said, "No." I was absolutely clear. I thought uh, for my personal grooming as well what I enjoy doing, I was very happy to join the foreign service, and I don't regret it, frankly. And I thought
Mm.
my mother had made the right decision. There
Yeah,
were
sometimes.
few classmates of mine used to press me that just sit for the exam, you could do that. But I never took them seriously. I said, I'm not interested. I'm happy in what I'm doing. But when my mother asked me, then I had to sit for the exam, and I was very lucky that I made it, and there's no looking back.
So, do you think you would make a successful journalist, as you were very interested in journalism and you had a
That's
passion?
what that's what I was told. Some of the people who joined that profession with me are now the leading names in journalism. And when I was leaving, they said, "Don't leave it. You can excel in this profession as well." I could have, but in life you have to make decisions. So once I had made up my mind, so I left it. I'm not looking back.
You
But
have no regrets.
yeah, so
Am
that's
I
that's
right?
it for me.
Okay. So, talking about Pakistan, here you were born and raised in Rawalpindi, and you had this education throughout in this city. Do you miss Pakistan? And if you miss Pakistan, what is that particular aspect which you miss the most?
Well, Pakistan is in our blood. I still always go back to Pakistan, and I. That's what you say, that you recharge your batteries back in Pakistan. We have issues. For
Of
instance, when
course.
I was growing up, Pakistan was a country of 70 million. Pindi was a town of 3 lakh people alone. Pakistan has really grown tremendously in terms of population. But still, you know those streets. You have your friends. You feel at home there, and that's what I say. That's a very big question. Although I've lived most of my life, working life outside Pakistan, but Pakistan is one place that I always go back. And of course, your families are there, your friends are there, the graves of your parents, your grandparents, your loved ones are there. So it always draws you back. That's something I strongly believe Pakistan has always had and will always have a strong pull on me personally.
So, do you visit Pakistan most often, or do you not get the?
I visit as many times as possible, at least twice every year. I visit Pakistan. That's one thing that I always do. And
So, what are
sorry, please.
when you come here, what are the activities you get involved? When you come back home, what do you do? Which do you eat certain kind of food in Pindi, Sambad, or wherever, or do you eat play some game, or what are the activities which you get involved?
Well, when I at my position, generally you have to go back for some official meetings as well. So
Okay,
besides that, I love trekking. So
okay.
I always go to the Margala Hills. I've been going there since my childhood, and I know these hills like the back of my hand. If I have more time, I go further up north towards Kalyat or Kahan, Swat. That's one. And then, of course, I go back to Pindi. That's where my hometown is. And I meet my old friends. They make sure that they have a gathering of all the friends from school, from college, from university. So it's always great to go back to Pakistan. I enjoy the Pakistani food. I like Pakistani food basically. So and I know the places where you can get.
Favorite dish.
That's that's true because and the real Pakistani food is in the old city. So you have to go there. There's some places that I always visit with my friends, and Bala Tikka House, Baras Nihari. These are the kind of things. Now there is a seal, Shinwari. That's one place that whenever I go back, I go with my friends there or with family. So it's always a great pleasure. And of course, then you meet your relatives. So
Right.
it's a great fun always.
So, when we talk about this foreign service and we talk about diplomatic life, there's a good side of it, as you have mentioned, that you get a chance to travel around the world, you get a chance to meet different people and to see the world, basically. But what is the downside of
The
it?
downside is, of course, it's not very easy. For many people, it is not very easy to, there's a change of language, temperature, cuisine every 3 years. But many people don't enjoy it. So that's the downside of it. You're away from your homes, especially at times when your parents are old or there's some tragedy. At times, it is something that really has an impact. But life is you have to. It's a give and take of so many things. So it has its pluses, it has its minuses. But I think it's a great life, and we do some important work. We are the first line of defense and the first line of communication. We are the people who represent the country, not only to the government but also to the society at large, to academia, to business leaders. So it's a great opportunity. You grow in this profession. That's what I say. Like in journalism, law, teaching, you grow in diplomacy. The more experience you get in this profession, the better you get at it. So it's a great life. It's a great opportunity, but it has its pluses and minuses. But I think the pluses are much more than the minuses.
So I have this question for you. As you've mentioned that your father wanted that you guys should stay at the same place and get education from one school or college for years. But now for your children, it is not the case. So do you think it's the best choice or do you think it has more, tall than you, because your children have to leave the place after certain years and get into a new education system, meet new people. So, what are your thoughts about this? And because your father has some one, you can say, ideology about this thing, and now, how do you think about this?
Well, again, let's start with the minuses. My sons lost 2 years of education because they were moved in the middle of school year in a different system. So that's the minus things. But the plus things is they all speak 5, 6 different languages. They're both very successful. Uh, one of him has done a PhD from UPenn, which is an Ivy League university. So one of my son loved that life, the younger one. The elder one hated it, but now even he appreciates the kind of experience that he has had. And I've been very fortunate because that's one thing that you have to give to your children: a strong sense of identity, good education, and the value system. So if you have been able to convey that to your next generation, you've been successful. So all said and done, it has been a good experience for them. And for instance, my younger son is traveling most of the time because he has that travel bug that I had in me as well. But my younger son is more static, and wherever he goes, he sits there for a couple of years. So you know, you do your best, and there are things that you can control, and there are things that you can't control. That you leave it to Allah Almighty, and He decides the best.
So, you have traveled all around the world. Share us any anecdote, like if you experienced any experience, anything which you have experienced, any practice, any event, any cultural thing that mesmerized you and you got impressed by it. and you got very excited about that, or from all around the world, any country, any people. So tell us about that.
No, no, I've had so many experiences that I can become an Mustanzas and Tarada. The thing. But for instance, I was in Kyrgyzstan, which is like northern areas of Pakistan. I traveled with the Deputy Minister of Culture on horseback with 2,000 heads of cattle for a week. And we started from 7,000 feet to 17,000 feet. That was an experience that I still cherish.
Of course.
Um, uh, their countries, I've spent nights in Rabul Khali, which is desert, the biggest desert in the Arabian Gulf, with Arabs, and we slept on the sands. So that's an experience for me. Russia, I was in Siberia, North Pole region. That was an
Yes.
experience. So in that respect, our profession gives you a lot of experience. As a third secretary CDA, I briefed the foreign minister and president of a country. That was an experience. So there's so much experiences that I've had that I cannot thank the Almighty for. I'm a middle class kid who gave me so much opportunities to experience and to interact with. I have interacted with the brightest people all across the world. You must have heard of Mr. Professor Masheimer.
Yeah.
I used to meet him regularly when I was posted in Chicago.
And I
Then,
think so every IR student has this dream of meeting him.
yeah. So I used to meet him regularly, and in fact, I had the honor of speaking a couple of times in the University of Chicago as well. So I've had the honor of speaking at McGill and Moscow State Universities in Moscow. And so I spoke at the Yekaterinburg State University. So it's a great experience in terms of exposure, in terms of meeting people, experiences. Because in the end, that's what my father used to say, and I also believe it, that what really counts is the experiences you've had and the impact that you've had on others. So, in that respect, this has been a great profession. That's a great life. No regret.
So, speaking of Russia, you are in Moscow right now. You also know Russian language. You can speak it very well, as you have opted it as. So, do you think language connects more because you speak the same language? Also, tell us about awareness about how Russia is, how does it work, uh, uh, what its culture, and of course, as we all know, the Russian literature. So tell us about which is your favorite writer, poet from Russia.
Russia is the biggest country in terms of landmass. It's a
Yeah.
country of 18 million square kilometers. It has 11 time zones. A flight from Vladivostok to Kaliningrad takes 10 hours. Russia is a great country, was a great country, will always be a great country. I was exposed to Russian literature because when I was growing up, those were the times of the Soviet Union. And the Soviets used to produce the most beautiful books translated in Urdu and English. And I grew up reading Russian literature when I was a kid. Then, interestingly, my father was also posted here in the 60s, 70s, in different occasions. So he used to bring a lot of Russian literature. So I've had a good exposure of Russian literature, starting from Maxim Gorky, Sholokhov, Boris Pasternak, Dostoevsky, Volganin, Tolstoy. So I've read this literature. Russians are very cultured people, very hospitable. There was a famous quote by Winston Churchill about the Russian that you scratch a Russian, you'll find a Tatar. Russians are they look very Europeans, but in terms of value systems, they are very close to the Asians. They have a
Okay.
lot of emphasis on family, food, and friendship. They've had a tough history because they were attacked by the Mongols. Then the Napoleon came here. Then Hitler came here. They defeated them all. So, but they're very nice people, and they have a rich cultural heritage. One of the leading musicians of the world, Tchaikovsky, was a resident of Moscow. So Moscow and Russia itself is a great opportunity, and that's what I tell that it's about time that people of Pakistan, people of Indus, I called Pakistan the people of Indus, and I called Russian the people of Don and Volga. They need to understand and appreciate each other. And one way
Okay.
is to people, business to business, intellectual and cultural contacts between the two sides.
Right. As a diplomat, what do you think? What is one quality that should be in a diplomat? And that one quality is like non-negotiable in your eyes.
Number one, you should be an extrovert. If you're not an extrovert, this is not a profession for you. You should be a people's friendly person. Number one. Number two, your word is your currency. You should be truthful. You should be well dressed. You should give the best food and you should give the best representation of your country. So it's all about relationship. Diplomacy is all about relationship. How well you are accepted and respected amongst your interlocutors. That is the fundamental criteria to be an effective diplomat.
So, in the last, what message would you like to give to young people who are navigating their pathways, that people like me who look up to you, people who are serving in the Foreign Service of Pakistan? So, what that advice or message would you like to give to such people?
Well, that's what I say. You should be passionate about whatever you do. If you don't enjoy your work, don't do it. You have to be at the very best. Because if you do it just like a job, it would be a very tiresome thing. But if you do something with passion, it becomes something that you enjoy doing. So, whatever you do, you should do it the very best, to the best of your abilities. Educate yourself, polish your skills. You should be the best representation of yourself and your country. Whenever you go out, you should be properly dressed, and you should be able to contribute to conversations or the place you're working. You should be able to make friends. That is something very important to the young people. Of course, the new generation is much and more into social media. I don't deny it. But you only get wisdom when you read books. And you have to read books by the great authors because they are sharing their wisdoms over centuries. And then meet some interesting people. Always surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. That is something very important. Don't waste your time with people who don't contribute to your betterment. So that's my advice to young people. But you have to be sincere to yourself, to your family, to your friends, to your country, and to this planet because ultimately you all share the same planet.
Thank you so much, sir.